Okay, we're gonna just bring it up a little bit here for 1 second here. So I want you to move in your seats a little bit. Just shuffle a little bit because you're gonna be sitting for a while, but and flex and stretch and flex and stretch. So I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'll teach this to you. It goes like this. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Now I'm not gonna let it get me down. Not gonna let it push me over. Not gonna let it run me around. 'Cause I know the truth. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Now it doesn't matter what's on the news. You can't make my mind up for me. You ain't gonna hear me sing the blues. 'Cause I know the truth. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. It's time to blow. Don't you normally have kazoos and stuff like this? And I am grateful for each breath I take. Yes, yes. I am grateful I am wide awake. Your part. Yes, yes. I am grateful for each passing day. Yes, yes. I'm so grateful. I'm just grateful. Oh, I'm too blessed, yeah, to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Say that with me now. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too grateful to be hateful. I'm too blessed to be pissed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Oh, I'm too blessed to be stressed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. 'Cause why? We're here at Unity Village together. We're here and we're so blessed. Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. That was so awesome. How fun was that? Karen Drucker, the one and only. Woohoo! Thank you so much. How fun is this? So welcome, everyone. Welcome. We're so blessed that you are here tonight to celebrate with the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation's Gala dinner. Hey, how fun is that? We have just dreamed about this day for years, 3 years, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But we're going to start off like we do, and we have a very special guest who's going to share the meditation today along with Karen. And we'll see if you recognize him. So we just invite you to go within, breathe, and enjoy.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, this moment. In the stillness of this moment, there's peace. There's peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest, and trust, and trust, and breathe, and know that in the stillness of this moment, there's peace. There's peace.
Let us take as our thought for today these words from St. Luke. The seed is the word of God. Let us see if we cannot realize that our faith acts as a plant planted in the creative soil. We do the planting, but life makes the harvest. Let us shut everything else from the mind for a few moments, as each says to himself, believing that my word is the seed of good, and that the divine giver of all life wills me to have a harvest. I plant this seed in the warm, rich soil of divine love and bury it in my faith. And I know that from this seed, which is my word, and from that power of good greater than I am, which is the law of God, I shall receive a harvest. This is the springtime of my hope, and I desire that love and peace and confidence shall envelop me and everyone I meet as I sit in the garden of God, my Garden of Eden. I desire that joy and happiness shall go forth from me to make glad the life of every person as I wait upon the Lord. I am planting seeds of happiness, of friendship, of love, of goodwill for myself, for everyone I know, and for the whole world. Not alone in my garden do I wish that these seeds shall grow, but I pray that I may broadcast them wherever I walk, uniting with all others in faith. I rest in the assurance that the good which the whole world seeks shall find fruitage in the garden of love that you and I are planting today.
In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace, and I rest, and trust, and breathe, and know that in the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am love. I am love. Joy. I am joy. I am here. I am here. I am peace. I am peace.
Peace. Be still and know. And just knowing that in the stillness of this moment, there truly is peace. there is truly love and joy and celebration as we come together to honor the Science Mind Archives and Library Foundation's grand opening weekend. A weekend that is filled with peace, love, and joy. And each and every person's heart who is here, our beautiful souls who are watching it online, and those who may be watching this in the future. We are the history. We are making history right here and right now. And just like Dr. Ernest Holmes talked about the soil and planting those fertile seeds, that is exactly what we are doing here this weekend. We are coming together. Each beautiful heart who is here has intentionally been guided, propelled, drawn to be here right now to celebrate. And perhaps with curiosity, see what's going to happen. So I just know that our time here is so blessed beyond measure, as we honor the past and we anchor ourselves in the present, but there's this exciting future ahead that we are co-creating with Spirit and Dr. Holmes right here and right now. So I just say thank you, Spirit. Thank you for all the blessings of this evening in advance, the amazing food, barbecue, all the joy that's in everyone's heart. We're just uplifted by the music, by all our speakers. Everyone's just sharing from our heart directly to your heart. And we are blessed. And so it is. Cool. Thanks. All righty. So for those who may not know, I am Reverend Kathy Mastriani. I'm still Reverend Kathy Mastriani throughout the day. Maybe I could be someone else, I guess, but that's okay. I'm just very honored and grateful. I'm the executive director of the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation. And along with an amazing planning committee, and Unity Village has just been outrageous. Let's just start clapping for them right now, right? My goodness, their events team is off the charts. Reverend Mark Fuss and Denise Griffith and everyone there. We're so grateful. And they're a sponsor of our event. And so we are so blessed. This is like one of the first events we really did sponsors. We have 8 platinum sponsors, guys. That's $1,000 or more that made this event possible. The Hefferland Foundation. Oh my gosh, haven't they just supported the archives in amazing ways? They gave us a $25,000 challenge grant to raise money for this relocation fund, and you all said yes, and we did it, and we raised that $150,000 of our initial goal in 13 months, and so thank you. Thank you, Hefferland Foundation. New Thought Media Network with Reverend Robert Brzezinski, Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski. He is in the house with his beloved Laura, and they're love streaming this event right now to our friends who couldn't make it. And so we just really bless all those folks who are online. And thank you, Dr. Robert. And he's doing interviews, so please join him because we're capturing history. We truly are. You are history. You are creating history with us right now. Yep. Affiliated New Thought Network, Reverend Michelle Whittingham. We're so grateful for their sponsorship. It was an immediate yes, I was told, when they heard about this opportunity. Science of Mind Foundation. Michael Schlutt and the crew. Oh my gosh. Kyle Birch. Oh my gosh, he's one of our new best friends. He comes to all our lunch and learns. How wonderful. Center for Spiritual Living Dallas is in the house. And we're so grateful. Oh my God. And the program, they're so efficient here. They printed it, and we still got more sponsors coming in. So we really bless Mile High Church. We really want to make sure that they're acknowledged, and our other folks. And so we're just going to thank sponsors throughout the evening, but gosh, just give them love with your heart. We're so grateful. And so the theme for this weekend is the past, the present, and the future. And the tagline of the archives is where the past illuminates the future, right? And there's this lighthouse in our logo. And there's just so many metaphors for that lighthouse, right? Where ships are looking for safety. You know, there's a light, and the light draws them in. And this teaching does that for each one of us individually, but for all those out there in the world. So that's the fertile seed we're planting, that we're going to plant here in our beautiful new home to connect and commune with our New Thought friends, being a lighthouse, a beacon of light for the world, peace on earth, right? We're here. And so on this table, I just want to briefly describe with a microphone somehow. So this is a piece of our past that we brought from Golden, Colorado. We did an appreciation blessing ceremony. And I'm looking at Dr. Deb because when they put it up here, they accidentally dropped it. Right? I'm sorry. No, it wasn't your fault. So she had this image of maybe shaking it up a little. I know. And so Spirit said, okay, because it really did. We've shaken a lot of things up since we've moved here, and we've moved things around. And so again, sometimes the past gets a little, it's actually quite beautiful. And our blessing team has the symbol for the whole weekend. It's empty, and there's a clear container with a candle in the middle. The candle is unlit on purpose, and the container is empty and clear. It's filled with the possibilities and the potentiality that each one of you are bringing. So you are we're creating a container for our future. And there are beautiful God stones filled with colors, and you'll see the different meanings for them: peace, love, light. And throughout the weekend, you're going to see what calls to your heart. What gift do you want to bring to the archives? And you're going to take that stone, and then you're going to put it in the glass jar. So we're really going to do that at our closing ceremony with the Labyrinth Walk. But people are only here for the gala dinner. We want your consciousness and light here. So if you're not going to be here, we invite you towards the end of the evening to really choose a stone or more than one and put your light and your consciousness in here that we're going to carry forward into the future. And even take a stone for yourself as well. All righty. So some housekeeping. So that was, we're just really grateful again for our planning team, our blessing team. We have amazing speakers tonight. And just the whole weekend is just kind of building up, the past, the present, the future. We had our pray-in with Dr. Ken Gordon, which was so beautiful yesterday. We just did our ribbon cutting this afternoon, and now we have our gala dinner tonight with our amazing keynote speaker, Dr. Jesse Jennigs, is in the house. We're so grateful. And tomorrow, we're going to have some workshops. And they're going to be right here, so that's kind of fun and easy, because now you know where it is, right? Where is that place? I don't know, but now you do. And so you're going to come here, and we're going to have 3 presentations that are really going to spotlight what the archives is, what the board of directors has been working on, and our vision for the future. And again, we've left it kind of purposefully open so we could get your input. We'll have a town hall and then a visioning, and we very sincerely from our hearts want your visions and your participation and being part of that co-creation for the future of the archives. And then we have just a very nice closing ceremony with a labyrinth walk, and something special will happen with all this. All righty, so again, it just kind of builds the whole weekend. It just kind of connects with each other. I'm considering myself like the golden thread of the weekend. We're just creating a tapestry for each one of you here. All righty, so we'd like to start off our program now. We thought we'd just start it off spectacularly with Dr. Marilyn Leo, the founder of the Science Mind Archives. And so she just celebrated her 90th birthday recently. And I had some notes I was going to say. She's famous and known for being the neighbor of Dr. Ernest Holmes, right? But in her own right, she has become famous for being kindness and love and integrity. She is the historian of our movement with all her books that she has written, from Chronicles of Religious Science, Volumes 1 and 2. Mother of Her Mystic is the most recent book. And she is just a light of our movement. We're just, come on. We're just really, really honored and blessed to have her with us.
Don't make me cry some more. I feel so blessed, and I was almost like I wasn't expecting to come up here, although I was, but not now. I thought I was going to eat first. Anyway, I really don't know what to say other than thank you, each of you, for being here, for supporting the archives with your consciousness, with your money, and with just being you, being friends of the archives. It just means so much to me that you're all here today. I really appreciate it, and this weekend has turned out to be so much more than I expected. I just can't believe it, and I'm going to cry some more, so I'm going to leave. I think that's enough. Thank you.
We take good care of Dr. Marilyn. But she does give me her dessert when she goes out to eat, so that's another endearing quality for me. Thank you. All righty, and so we have really an amazing honor to have Dr. Sunny Cantrell-Smith, who is the spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living. As people know, that we're like sister communities. Some people think we're part of them, but we're separate nonprofits. And so we're just so grateful for the support of Centers for Spiritual Living. For so long, we work so well together. We collect the history, they get the present in the world, and then the Science Mom Foundation works towards the future. So it's just a lovely past, present, future within that as well. So just want to invite Dr. Sunny up here.
Thanks, Kathy. Thank you so much. I know I don't have a lot of time, so I cut this down to 45 minutes. How y'all doing? Good, good, great. Well, we're here for a special occasion, and hearing Ernest's voice, Dr. Holmes's voice for that prayer, I got a little teary-eyed, as I often do when I'm listening to him. But today we stand in the presence of something both sacred and extraordinary, don't we? We're here to witness the opening of a space and also consecrate a moment in time. The grand opening of the Science of Mind archives, as we saw, is a ceremonial ribbon cutting. And it is also the unveiling of a spiritual time capsule, a temple of wisdom, a love letter to humanity from the heart of our teaching. As a spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living, I feel a deep sense of humility and joy in welcoming all of you to this celebration, because this is a day to honor our foundation and launch us into the future. A future built on consciousness, clarity, and commitment. First, consciousness. These archives are a collective memory. They are the written echo of our spiritual mind treatments, revelations, and study that have shaped and sustained our movement. And within these walls, both physical and digital, live the words of Ernest Holmes and the souls who stood with him and after him, carrying the torch of a new thought and new thought times of social change, global awakening, and personal transformation. Ernest Holmes said, "We should think of the universe as flowing, streaming, moving, and alive, awake, and aware." That is what this archive is. It's not static. It's not a museum. It is an alive and streaming movement of consciousness captured in ink and paper, in sermons and notes, in teachings that still pulse with relevance today. Clarity. When Holmes first penned The Science of Mind, I'm certain that he probably didn't imagine that almost a century later, we would be gathered like this, digitalizing, preserving, and sharing his life's work on a scale he could only possibly think about. But what he did imagine, and what he was very clear on, was the infinite potential of the mind and the unstoppable power of an idea whose time has come. He wrote, "There is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it." That is the heart of our teaching, and this archive is a testament to that power which moves through the pens, the voices, the treatments, the publications, and the communities who carry these teachings forward with vision and with faith. The Science of Mind archives is about what has been and also about what is becoming, which brings me to my third point, commitment. We are in a moment of spiritual evolution. The world around us is crying out for unity, for healing, for wisdom that unites us. People are seeking something real, something rooted and alive, something ancient but fresh. And what we have, what lives in the pages of these archives, is exactly that. And let me be clear, our global vision is a powerful statement of values, and it is a map for planetary transformation. It says we envision a world that works for everyone. It says we see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principles. It says we believe in the emergence of a global community grounded in love, connection, and respect. These archives are the evidence of our consciousness, clarity, and commitment. It is the demonstration of our journey, showing how we have walked this path from the early metaphysical circles of the 1920s to the inclusive, global, connected movement we are today. And now, with this archive accessible to all, we are placing a spiritual inheritance into the hands of the next generation of ministers, students, teachers, young people, researchers, spiritual adventurers of all kinds who can come here and drink from the well of timeless wisdom. Holmes said, "We are surrounded by a creative mind which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it." Of the impress of the thoughts of those who came before us, but brought us here today. Now, all of us have an invitation to new thought, a catalyst for fresh ideas, a resource for deeper spiritual practice, a mirror reflecting the best of what we've been and the most of what we can become. The opening of this archive comes at a time when history is being rewritten or forgotten, when speed replaces depth. In that context, this archive is an act of resilience. It is a declaration that spiritual wisdom matters, that lineage matters, that the long road we've traveled holds treasures that can shape what is yet to be. And so, as we opened those doors, we also opened our hearts to an agreement to care for what has been entrusted to us, to lead with reverence, to study with joy, to teach with humility, to preserve not just the documents, but the spirit that birthed them. So let us rise to this occasion, folks. Let us go forth from this day as caretakers of this sacred repository and as activators of its content. Let the teachings leap off the page into our lives. Let the treatments inspire us to treat again and again and again. And let the stories and the sermons call us back to the altar of our own devotion. Let us also give deep thanks for all those who made this possible, the archivists, the scholars, the organizers, the donors, and the passionate volunteers. You have created something enduring, and we are forever grateful. This, my friends, is holy work. This is legacy work. This is love in form. And so to every person here, in body or in spirit, thank you. Thank you for walking this path. Thank you for believing in the power of principle. Thank you for your consciousness, your clarity, and your commitment, and for continuing to ask the question that sparked this whole journey. What if we really are one with the divine? And as we have officially opened this archive, may it be a living blessing, a sacred portal, a wellspring of truth for all who enter it. Let us walk forward together, grounded in our past, inspired by our future, and carried always on the wings of love. Peace and blessings.
And to say thank you, thank you, thank you. So we say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunny, for your heart and your passion and truly your spiritual leadership for us all. What an inspiration, and we're grateful. Thank you. And this really, if you haven't noticed, is kind of a night of gratitude, right? You know, we have so much to be grateful for. Just so much. It's truly a night of celebration and gratitude. And so I have the honor of inviting up Dr. Jim Van Cleef, our board president. And together we're going to give some gratitudes. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And we might add a little embarrassment to this.
Uh-oh.
We are going to ask, aren't we?
Oh, go ahead.
We're going to ask certain groups of people to stand up. First of all is the board, our board, including all past board members. Will you please stand and get a hand? Present and past. Come on, there's more of you. Very good, thank you. The staff, past and present. I know there's a few of you here. There they are. Valerie.
I'm going to borrow the microphone for a minute. We're so grateful that we have our Colorado crew here, Reverend Valerie Torfey and Reverend Michael Torfey. It was our buy one, get one free, because Michael would volunteer, and we're so grateful. 9 years, she was on our Colorado team. I want to shout out to Melinda, who couldn't make it here, but she's here virtually, and she's been behind the scenes really holding things together. And I want to welcome our new Missouri team, the beginning of it, Connie Gondwy. Where are you, Connie? All righty. Woo-hoo. She's 5 days old, everyone, and she's feeling the love, and she's been fantastic. So we're so grateful. Thank you. And we're manifesting a couple more. So again, holding in consciousness a new archivist very soon, archivist librarian to really care for our resources, a development person, and maybe even someone with technology skills. So we're just excited about the future. Okay, go ahead.
And we also have to thank our relocation team. Now that was a big team, and let me just say who all is on that team.
I don't know if we have that list.
First of all is our committee. That is our committee that we formed, headed up by Reverend Chris, I believe. And literally every member of the board was on the relocation team. But you've already stood, but you can stand again if you like. The volunteers, and then those who contributed, there were, somebody contributed $150,000, and if you had anything to do with that, please stand up.
Buy a box. Buy a box.
Yeah, buy a box. That was a great thing, and then I guess the posters was after, but buy a poster was another one. Hefferland Foundation, anybody here from Hefferland Foundation? I know one person. Reverend Dr. Marilyn. And then, do you want to do something?
Yeah, well, what about someone who packed the archives?
Someone who packed the archives. Let me scratch my head. Actually, there was one person that did more than anybody's ever done as far as negotiating, packing, boxing, labeling all the boxes with a QR code, would you believe? And 100 other things, and that's JT, our new director of INTA. Then we have the Friends of the Archives, and that's quite a few people. That used to be called Friends of Ernest, now it's called Friends of the Archives. I know that's a whole bunch of you, but please stand up if you have anything to do with that. Woo! Look at that. You want to do something?
You bet. And my goodness, we had just such an amazing planning team, obviously, for this grand opening. And I just would like to recognize them. There's I don't know, a word, a gift, a goddess, an angel that was sent to the archives. Her name is Julia Mattis, and she was my co-chair for this committee. All right, Julia's in the house, and we're so grateful. Yes, bless her heart. You bet. And actually, so the committee I am, Reverend Chris Plim, Reverend Dr. Deborah Gordon, Mirna Lopez Trivik, get that. Reverend Dr. Martha Quintana, New Thought Media Network, Dr. Robert Brzezinski, Reverend Jody Stevenson, who actually has an earnest wisdom shop in the back for people to go shopping. Christine Betts, oh my gosh, God bless her. She's been amazing. She does all the PowerPoints, social media, and keeps us smiling. Sandra Ray, Trixie Addison, Park Peters, Dr. Sherry McMurray, Reverend Dana Vogt, and Reverend Katie Roxburgati. Thank you all. Unity Village friends. Oh my gosh. They've been just, again, we'll just say it all night long and tomorrow, and we're just so welcoming. Just moment one. You want to do that one? Go ahead. Go ahead.
And last, well, there's probably more, but last but not least by any means is the International New Thought Alliance friends and their recent move to Unity Village.
And who is the lead on that move?
The lead,
It's Dr. Tim Stewart and, go ahead.
Dr. Ken Stewart.
Dr. Tim Stewart
Oh, yes, of course.
and JT.
Dr. Tim Stewart, who is the boss, and then JT, who is the executive or the director of the archives, and so, and there are so many more. I hope everybody had a chance to stand up because I think you're all friends here. And with that, I think we're ready to announce.
Dinner!
All right.
All right. Is anyone hungry? Does anyone like barbecue? All righty.
Kansas City barbecue.
All right. I don't know. So I think we're going to start by tables. And I'm new here. Hey, Julia, how do you want to do this? Huh? Tables. All right. Tables. All righty. I knew that. All right. So would table number 1 like to start going to get some food? What? One from each side? I like that.
1 and 10. So 1 and 10.
Good for you.
You guys,
You
go.
Go for
Then
it.
we'll just
Go
go
for it. You go. Get her done.
2
Get
and
her done.
9. So this table, that table, just when you're ready, just get in line.
Thank you. You bet. Oh my gosh. Go eat, my friend. Thank you.
What do you want? Where do you want to go? You'll get what you want if you act as if you know. It starts with you. Do you believe it? It's all in the way that you choose to see it. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 do. When you feel lost and you can't find your way, keep your eye on the prize. It will materialize. You can't miss. Change your perception, leading you to a new direction. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 do. Change, change. You can do it. Change, change. It's a sure thing. Change, change. Expect a miracle change. Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. Now do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 do. Let it be easy. I'm gonna let it be easy. I'm gonna make the choice every day to trust my voice. Let it be so easy. I used to run around, beat myself to the ground. I thought this was the way to be. I thought that true success was having so much stress till I heard a voice calling to me, saying, let it be easy. Let it be easy. I'm gonna make a choice to trust my voice. Let it be easy. Now that I see the light, I won't work all day and night. I vow to take good care of me. Don't need to run a race. Well, I'm choosing ease and grace, enjoying the ride effortlessly. Gonna let it be easy every day now, easy. I'm gonna make a choice to trust my voice. Let it be easy. trust my voice, let it be easy. I'm gonna make a choice to trust my voice. I'll let it be so easy. I'm gonna make a choice to trust my voice. Let it be. Gonna let it be easy. Oh, let it be easy. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. I am held, I am whole, I surrender to it all. When I trust and let go, then I know that all is well. All is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well. Listen, 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 listen. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So listen, 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 listen. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So the earth will be healed by the listen of the world. The earth will be healed by the listen of the world. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So listen, are the healers. Listen, are wise. Listen, are the healers. Listen, are wise. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So listen, are the healers. Listen, are the words. Listen, are the healers. Listen, are the words. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So listen, will be healers. Listen, are the words. Listen, are the healers. Listen, are the words. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So listen, will be healers. Listen, are the words. Listen, are the healers. Listen, are the words. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So the earth will be healed by the listen of the world. The earth will be healed by the listen of the world. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. A woman feels her power when her voice is being heard. So listen, 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 listen. I am open to the possibility. I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. I am open to the possibility. I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. I don't have all the answers now, but I'm willing to take it slow. that something is calling me where the path will lead. I don't know, but I am open to the possibility. I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. There's an open road as far as I can see, and my heart will lead the way. Step by step through the mystery, I surrender every day. Open, I am open to the possibility. I am open to the possibility of a life that is meant to be lived by me. I am I am I am open. Sit, sit, sit with it. Sit, sit, sit with it. If I got a problem, sit with it. Not sure where I'm going, sit with it. Trust and know the answer will flow if I sit with it. I don't run around in circles, getting myself so stressed. No stress. Things seem to work out better when I focus on how I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. Making a decision, sit with it. Trying to choose the right way, sit with it. Trust and know the answer will flow if I sit with it. Sit with it. I don't have to force the issue when I relax and quiet my mind. It all comes together in its own sweet time. I reclining chair, on a rocker or a sofa, 'cause I don't have a care, on a bar stool or a hammock, or just sit anywhere. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna sit with it. I don't have to struggle, sit with it. Oh, it will be revealed, sit with it. Trust and know the answer will flow if I sit with it. I'm just gonna trust and know the answer will flow if I just sit with it. Sit with it. I'm gonna sit with it. Oh, sit with it. No, 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 oh, 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 I'll sit with it. When my world is not okay, when there's roadblocks in my way, when I feel so all alone, these words will bring me home. Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Oh, oh, oh. Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. When we can't see eye to eye, no matter how we try, we can find our harmony if you sing along with me. Come on and let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. Oh, oh, oh. Let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. In everything, love will be the gift I bring, to give and to receive, straight from the heart. I let love lead the way. Oh, let love lead the way. Oh, oh, oh. Don't let love lead the way. I'll let love lead the way. can feel you in the morning sun. I can see you in the sky above. I can hear you in the gentle breeze. You are always in always with me. I can feel you in the morning sun. I can see you in the sky above. I can hear you in the gentle breeze. You are always in always with me. I can feel you in the morning sun. I can see you in the sky above. I can hear you in the gentle breeze. You are always in always with me. Never a moment that you are far from my heart. You're always.
Howdy, howdy. Just a quick announcement or two. So we do have a silent auction in the back with some really, really cool historic items and some modern items too. I invite you to check it out. We're going to close the auction tonight at the end. So this is your time while you're eating to go check it out. Even Karen Drucker very generously donated a flash drive that has all of her music. All of her music is on, so that's very cool. We have just Ernest Holmes, the last Science Mind magazine that he did daily guides before he passed. We have, it's just incredible. Check it out. The other thing going on is we have a raffle going on, and it's thanks to Reverend Dr. Marilyn Leo. And here, show. Here, she's going to do it.
Hi, so my name is Peggy. I'm with Science of Mind Foundation, and I am volunteering. And I'm going to come around to every single table, and I'm going to talk to every single person, and I am going to say, do you want a raffle ticket? And I hope I hear you say yes. So as Reverend Kathy was saying, Reverend Dr. Kathy was saying, this is for Science of Mind magazine. We have 3 subscriptions that are available. If you do not have your ticket that came in your bag today, you feel free to go ahead and go to the hotel room and get it, or stay here and buy them from me. I am coming around.
You're welcome.
Cash or credit card. Thank you.
You're always in always with me. I can feel you in the morning sun. I can see you in the sky above. I can hear you in the gentle breeze. You are always in always with me. You are always with me. You are always, always with me. In the sky, in the sun, in the breeze, always with me. In my heart, I feel you with me. Always with me. With me. for all seasons. Love every moment. Light shine wherever we are. Faith in the darkness. Hope in the silence. Joy, sweet joy in our every day is a choice to show some kindness. We all are part of one family, yeah. So connected, our hearts and spirit. I reach out for you, you reach out for me. Now peace for all seasons, love every moment. Light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence. Joy, joy in our hearts. couldn't rock the boat, I couldn't cross the line. But every step that I've taken, every pain, every tear has led me to the woman who's standing right here. I got so tired of giving myself away, always looking for someone to tell me I was okay. But I got to the place where I could trust my heart. It was the perfect place for a brand new start. And here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand. Here I stand. And here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand. Here I stand. Here I stand. I am a warrior. I am invincible. I am strong as steel, and I am capable, and I am soft as a feather, light and free, and the truth that I know, healing begins with me. So here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand. 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 And with all that I've been through, there ain't nothing I can't do. And here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand in my power. Here I stand. Here I stand. Here I stand. Here I stand. Oh, here I stand. Here I stand. Here I stand. Here I stand. And with all that I've been through, there ain't nothing I can't do. Here I stand. I stand. Take me with you, I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me. Take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me. Take me with you. Take me with you. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Shape and blow. Now I am willing to start a brand new chapter of my heart. Take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to make a choice. This new path needs my voice. Take me with you. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to let go. I surrender, and I know I am willing to let go. I surrender, and I know I surrender, and I know I surrender, and I know.
Well, wait. No, wait. Let's just. Check, check. All right, we've been all about blessing tonight. Here's a new song for you. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. That's the whole thing. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Can you sing that with me? Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Let me hear you. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Next part goes like this. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So blessed. Got it? Sing with me now. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So blessed. From the top. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Sing it again. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed. Second part. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. So blessed. Sometimes I need only to stand wherever I am to be blessed.
Karen Drucker, everyone. Thank you so much. Well, welcome. Well, let's kind of get your seats because we're getting ready for our main event, Rev Dr Jesse Jennigs, and he has requested a special person introduce him tonight. But as she's making her way up here, I just wanted to point out on your table is a really pretty pink flower. It is representative of the Ernest Holmes rose. That if you go to Founders and other places, there's a rose and it looks pretty close to this. And so just know that that's another piece of history for us. All righty, I would like Reverend Dr. Marilyn Leo to come on up.
It is my pleasure this evening.
Wait a second. Everyone, can we listen? Everyone, shh.
Attention!
There you go.
It is my pleasure this evening to introduce a very wonderful man. He participates with the archives in our research. He knows all the history of everything that's gone on. I think I should ask him some questions. Anyway, he wrote the Essential Ernest Holmes. He does a class on that. He has the Houston Texas Church. What else? There was 3 things. What?
I think you said the research team.
And the research team. Anyway, he's a great guy, and I'd like to introduce Rev Dr Jesse Jennigs.
I told Karen if I run out of steam, I'll throw it to her. Let's do another song. Isn't she fantastic? I want to thank her. The group that was on the screen who put this weekend together. All the people who've been thanked so far, I want to thank them many, many more times over. I want to thank my spiritual family of Creative Life in Houston, and especially those that made the trip up here, 2 of our ministers, 2 of our practitioners, and new friends that we're picking up along the way that we had dinner with last night. So thank you all so much for being here to support the archives and all that's unfolding. At our table, a compliment was paid to Dr. Sunny about what a nice, crisp talk she gave and the number of points that she made and how she circled back and ended it in a timely manner. And I turned to the person sitting next to me and say, that's not going to happen when I get up there. So I'm just letting you know that in advance. But we're all checked in for the night, so we've got plenty of time. But I've got some stories to tell about the old days. And what I love about this particular assembly of people, just in the conversations that we've had so far, is that you know a lot of the people that I'm going to talk about. Because very often with a different audience, you get who? And it kind of saddens you because these were significant individuals in the life of New Thought along the way. And I want to pay tribute to one of them tonight who left the planet this week. And her name was Rev Dr. Linda McNamara. Yeah. If you've had classes, any classes with CSL or its United Church of Religious Science predecessor organization, you have worked with something that she sculpted lovingly as in being involved in education for, I want to say, at least 45 years. And so she joins the ancestors tonight. And a part of her is in Building 100. A lot of us have teachers in Building 100. Often when ministers meet, at least this used to be the case in the old days, when New Thought ministers would meet, the first question you'd ask is not, what did you do before you were a minister, or where are you from, or the size of your church, your congregation. The first question was, who was your teacher? Who was your teacher? And we've all had many teachers, but we had one that stood out, didn't we? Might have been the first one, or might have been the best one, or it might have been the one who wasn't famous, nobody's heard of them, and they maybe didn't, they weren't working in that place for a very long time, but they said something that clicked. They said the same thing that others had said, but they put their words together in a way like they were written in lightning. And all of a sudden, the world made sense to us. Now, here we sit tonight, and we're all dressed up, and we're all appropriate and sophisticated modern people. But one thing I know about all of us is that we were the kids who didn't fit in. Every last one of us were the kids who didn't fit in. Think about it. You and I sat there, and they were declining verbs and solving for X on the board, and we were looking out the window, trying to find a glimpse of the meaning of life. And then a hand, in my case a nun's hand, came slapping down on the desk. Pay attention. You're going to need this. I'm almost 70 years old. I've never needed algebra. Not one time in my life. Good, all right. If I ever do, I'll find somebody, or there's an app for that. But what I have needed is to know that I'm all right. What I have needed to know is that there is a ubiquitous divine presence in all people, in all conditions. That's what I have needed to know. And at the right time and in the right way, that message came to me. In my particular case, I was raised in New York City, and older people in my family discovered Raymond Charles Barker and Stuart Grayson. And I should mention that when I call names like this out in the remainder of the talk, I'm going to leave off the honorifics unless I forget to, or unless there's somebody like Dr. Dan, because Dr. Dan is not Dan, and never has been and never will be. He's Dr. Dan Morgan. So for him, okay, I'm going to make some exceptions, but others, I'm going to skip that because I might get it wrong. And some of them aren't doctors, but they are reverends. And who cares anyway, right? Because we're all on a level plane in this. Well, they started attending at Alice Tully Hall at Lincoln Center, Dr. Barker, and then he retired, and Dr. Grayson took over for, well, there I broke my own rule, but I can't help it. I hear my ancestors in my head, telling me how this is. And then we were talking last night over dinner, and John Herron, one of our practitioners of Creative Life, he brought up, he said, Eric Butterworth was in another theater at Lincoln Center. He was in Avery Fisher Hall while Barker and Grayson were at Alice Tully. And he said that he heard a story, or you made it up. Either way, it's a good story. He said that Butterworth and Barker met in the concourse there at Lincoln Center. And one said to the other, people come to your church for 2 or 3 weeks, and they think they've heard everything you have to say, so then they come to my church for 2 or 3 weeks. And I said, at the same time, there was a Church of Truth with Irvin Seal right there at Town Hall. And prior to that, there was Florence Scovel Shinn teaching at Steinway Hall. There's an incredible vortex of energy there. And this was what my family found. And so they came to me with it. I was a little kid in the 60s. And they came to me with it, and they said, you can change your life by changing your thinking. You can manage your destiny. You can, all this stuff they were hearing, all this stuff they were learning. And I didn't buy a word of it. I thought, no, what I need are mind-altering drugs. That will be, let's get in for that. So that will be my entry into a sense of the divine. And so I messed around with that for a while. And when I was, the year I turned 21, I joined religious science, but it was in Houston now, and it was a little bitty group. And my first teacher was somebody that very few people have heard of. His name was Ben Winter. Ben Winter. Ben Winter was, Ben Winter's backstory was this. He'd come home from World War II. He was from Colorado. And somebody said, you need to go to the Aladdin Theater in downtown Denver and hear Orlando Wanvig speak. So he did. And he said, this is great. I want to know more. And he took some classes there. And then they said, if you want any more classes than this, you need to go to the Institute in Los Angeles. So I tell people accurately that my first teacher, my primary teacher was Ben Winter, and his primary teacher was Ernest Holmes. How cool is that, So who were your teachers? Who are the people who resonate in your mind? Who are the people that told it to you how it is and how it is for you now, and the determinations that you made in your life based on this knowledge? Now, we were coming up from Houston on Wednesday. We drove up here because on the way home we wanted to stop and see some sights. And we went through southeastern Oklahoma, went through most of Oklahoma and about half of Kansas actually getting here for one reason or another. And in Oklahoma, we passed through a little town called Chakotah in the Choctaw Nation. Chakotah is on the shores of Lake Eufaula. Is any of this ringing a bell? Which is an enormous lake. And on the shores of Lake Eufaula, there once stood a hotel called Fountainhead Lodge. And Fountainhead Lodge was enormous, and it's not what it sounds like. It wasn't rustic cabins and stuff. It was a big, ugly, concrete, whitewashed hotel. It looked like a gigantic Bose radio sitting there on the shore. And that was where I went in June of '77 to the Central Area Religious Science Conference. Because we used to have conferences, United Church did, all across the country in the summer. They all eventuated at Asilomar in August. But starting in June, we had the Fountainhead Conference, we had Sand Dollar, we had Jekyll Island, we had Virginia Beach, we even had one up in the Poconos. And people would come in just like here from across the country, luminaries and practitioners and students and everybody together, and the occasional relative that got dragged along who didn't know what they were in for, but you got to sit through a week of this stuff with us. So at the event in 1977, I went, and when you find out when you're young in religious science, as some of you have been, they put you to work. You don't just go to an event, you staff an event. That's happened to a number of people here this weekend. You got here, and now you're a volunteer, right? Yeah, I'll tell you what, one of the most esteemed leaders the CSL organization has ever had is tonight driving a golf cart. And you know, when they tell us that we began as practitioners, not as ministers, that the first subset, I guess, of the human family President New thought was practitioners, no, it was volunteers. We all started as volunteers wherever we were before we took class number 1, you know. Well, I'm at this place in 77, and I was in awe because I was young, and all of this energy, and there's people coming in from all over. I'm meeting all of these folks. Al Hurd, do you remember Al Hurd? He was in Salt Lake City. He wore a muumuu. Johnny Reed was there from Shaker Heights. Ruth McDonald from Cleveland. Alma Stevens from Hollywood, Florida. All these, and then many, many people from Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and affiliated centers there, and not just United and so on. And people spoke, and they had workshops and all like that. And we had a banquet just like this. And at the banquet, there was a keynoter. And the keynoter hadn't shown up yet. We were a day or so into this, and I didn't know the schedule, but the keynoter wasn't there. Well, they had an airstrip outside, so while we're sitting there eating, we hear, and a few minutes later, the door opens, and in comes this entourage with this man. People began to stand and applaud as he walked toward his table. He had piercing blue eyes. He had the most amazing jowls. He had such great jowls that I've determined I'd like to grow some jowls in my later years, you know. And he came in, and I said, who in the world is that? We need your help. Come backstage. Denise St. John it was. She says, we need you to pick this up, move it over here, and do this and that and the other thing. And we need to make sure that the red rose is on the lectern, as it always is when he speaks. The red rose. The red rose supernaturally appeared on the lectern whenever he spoke. And sure enough, I hadn't put it there. No staff had put it, but there's a red rose. And he had just flown in with his people. So how did it get there? We don't know. That was one of the signatures, I guess you'd say, of his work. The other was, he always wanted How Great Thou Art sung. But leave out the verse about when God, his son not sparing, sent him to die. So I don't want that. We don't believe that. Leave that out. And one time he spoke, and the singer forgot to leave it out. So you learn the song, and she sailed right into it, and everybody looked at him, you know. And he was so gracious about, oh, that's beautiful, beautiful performance you just gave. This was Bill Hornaday. And I was in awe of this guy. I thought, man, a magical rose appeared. This is like Edgar Allan Poe's tomb, you know, with the half bottle of sherry, isn't it? How does this magic happen? I've got to know more about this. Later, what I learned was he's an ordinary human being. But he was a great spiritual genius. Not because he could make roses appear, and not because rooms full of people stood and applauded him, and not because of anything beyond the fact that he'd done the work and was continuing to do the work and was holding down Sundays at Founders Church and traveling across the country to speak, and he was teaching principle. He was teaching principle in this beautiful and elevating way. Well, he's gone now, and I don't know where his human remains were deposited. He could be in a columbarium at Forest Park, Glendale, next to Ernest. A rumor went round, started largely by Bill Hornaday, that when Ernest passed, there was a procession to the cemetery, and the hearse darted out of line and took Ernest off we know not where, and he was buried in an unmarked grave someplace. And everyone went, what an humble man, what a beautiful story. And not a word of it is true. He's in Forest Park, Glendale, and there's a college. You can look it up. It's even numbered, you know. So Bill Hornaday might well be in the wall next to him. I don't know. What I do know is he lives here now. He lives here. His stories, his consciousness, the people that he touched. Dorothy Love, his assistant for many years. Arthur Chang is not yet off the planet. He was a classmate of mine. He has been at Founders ever since we graduated together, 1986. These amazing people, they've all come here. They'll all come here. We're here now, but we'll all come here with our writings and our teachings. We'll all fit into this place as the amazing bringers of light that we are in the world. When I first came to the archives in Golden, I made a fool of myself. To be honest with you, it's why I'm here tonight, to atone for that, in part. I lost my mind there. Kathy Mastroianni will attest to this. We're closing now. Sir, we're closing. Please put that down. Because I was, ooh, this and ooh, that. And I got what really until tonight was probably the greatest honor of my life, where they said, you know, every day or week, I'm not sure which, we turn a page in the 1926 textbook that's under glass. Here, put on these white gloves, and you can turn that page. So I did, and I got a photo of it, you know, and it's so sweet. And then I thought back, you know, just like the story about the hearse cutting out of line and going off nowhere. Well, there was a rumor that went around, I don't know how long ago, but before everything was digitized, and the 1926 textbook was hard to come by. It wasn't in print. If you owned a copy, it was hardback, and it was one of the first editions, you know. And so amongst everybody else, a rumor went around, you know, Ernest didn't want to revise it. They made him. A bunch of people got together and browbeat. Can you imagine browbeating Ernest Holmes? Just sit with that a moment. Let's manipulate this man into something that he hasn't chosen of his own. But all the good stuff was taken out. All the good stuff was taken out, and it's in a file cabinet somewhere. It's like in the last scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They put it in a big wooden crate and put it on a forklift and wheeled it down, right? And it's up on a shelf someplace. Not a word of it is true. And to see how mistaken that notion is, go look at the 1926 textbook and look at his handwritten revisions in pencil in his hand in that book, just as you or I would do. Say, I wish I'd said this differently. And some of these passages, you know, this might be a little advanced for the first-time reader, so let's put it in the home study course. And that's where it all went, the stuff that's not in the 1926 edition, which, by the way, is back in print under the same cover with the 38. But let's put it in the home study course. That textbook has a life of its own. That textbook, which has been a life raft for a great many of us. And, we complain about it. It's got stuff in there about digestive problems. You know, it's got, who puts this in their magnum opus of their spiritual work? This level of detail. But it's in there. But the story of this textbook and how it's moved. Look in the archives at those certificates on the wall. Look at these places that Holmes never visited. And the government of, I don't know, Italy issues a proclamation. Some order of chivalry that you've never heard of makes him a knight because somebody got a hold of the textbook and read this material and said, you know what, this makes sense. This makes sense. This works. There was a woman who came to my center some years ago, and she attended the first time, and she came up, she said, I like this, I want to know more, you know. She came back the next week, the week after that, and about 4 weeks in, she came up and said, well, you're not going to see me for a few weeks because I'm going to go visit family. I'm going to California to visit family. We're driving out there, so it's going to take a little while, you know. So she gets to California, and she visits with family, and her mother, or somebody says to her, you remember Aunt Minnie? Well, your Aunt Minnie would love to see you. I know you haven't talked to her in years, and she lives down in rural Arizona. So if it's not too much trouble, why don't you go out of your way? And this woman was traveling with her daughter as well. She says, go down to rural Arizona. You could find it, you know, and visit Aunt Minnie. Just drop in. You don't even need to call first. Just drop in on her. So Aunt Minnie was startled. Open the door, and there's, her niece and grandniece. And so they sit down and have coffee and such. And Aunt Minnie says, "So what have you been up to?" And the woman says, "Well, among other things, I'm developing a spiritual life. I've found this center, and they're teaching this material, and it's helping me," and so on. And, what's it called? She says, "Science of Mind." And she's probably thinking to herself, I don't remember, I'm inventing this part, but she's probably thinking to herself, this is not going to go well. Very often you tell you're into what now? And they start assembling an intervention, Aunt Minnie says, "I'll be right back." She goes to a bookshelf and she comes back with a signed copy of the textbook. Now, how does this happen? How does this happen? The thing has a life of its own. The thing has a life of its own. Since I have been here, since Wednesday night, this talk, it's like a bench with stories on it. And another story sits down, and the first story falls off the end of the bench. So you've got a time limit. But of the synchronicities and the serendipities that brought us all together, how we found those teachers, how they found us. When, yes, the teacher's ready, the student appears, and vice versa. How this all happened is sheer magic. It's sheer magic. There was a generic term for all of us. Before we called ourselves, or at least contemporaneous with when we called ourselves unity people, or religious science people, or, before that, divine science people, or independent people. There was one term: we were truth students. We were truth students, and you'll see that in the old literature, especially the old unity literature. Now, that's problematic, because it kind of implies, if you don't buy this, you're trafficking in falsehoods, right? And it's got other layers of problematic meaning to it these days. But for us, it was true. For us, it was the only truth there is. We were the kids who didn't fit in until we found our tribe, until we found each other here, until we found that through our teachers, and until we found that through books, which Kafka called. He says, a book can comfort you, but the highest function a book can serve is to take an axe to the frozen sea of your soul. To take an axe to the frozen sea of your soul. A lot of us had given up on the idea of a divine presence. It belongs to someone else. I'm not worthy of it. I have a past, A lot of us had given up. I don't believe in a judging deity anymore. I don't believe in a masculine deity anymore. And there wasn't anything else around until something took an axe to that frozen tundra around our souls and said, no, there's more. There's more. And you know what? It's like that old story. They said when they hid the truth, when the gods hid the truth from us, they put it in the last place we would look, within. Because we've been all over the landscape, right? Lo here and lo there, but behold, the kingdom of heaven is where? Within you. The last place we look. I've been carrying it the whole time. In the S training, they used to have a saying, the light that you seek is in the lantern that you carry. So it's right there the whole time. And all of a sudden we discover it. And all of a sudden we realize, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm thrilled that the Archives has come to Unity Village. To be honest with you, when I first heard that news, part of me was saddened because I've seen a lot of change in the organization. I was part of this when we had an institute. You saw the picture of the place from 1935 when they moved up from Wilshire Boulevard to 6th Street in United and built, it was still one organization at that time, and they built I guess they didn't build it. They bought the institute. I don't think they built it, but they outwore it, I'll tell you that. Because in the 80s, it was falling apart. There was no money fix up the plumbing and the electric and so on. And so the decision was made, not a bad decision, but the decision was made, we're going to tear the building down. We're going to trade the land for the money to put up an office building. And so that happened. And that's the Holmes Center you may have visited, a 5-story building next to it. Well, I was around when that was going on, and it was sad to see this place go, because that was, you got the archives here with Ernest's possessions and stuff. Ernest had an office in that building. So did Hazel. So did his mother, Anna. So did his niece. So it's a family affair. Josephine Holmes Curtis, she was editor of Science Mind magazine, And all of these people, Gussie Rundell, who was Hazel's aunt. He made a funny story there. Gussie Rundell says, you might like my niece. She's recently widowed, and she's traveling in Europe right now, but I have a picture of her. He put it on his mantle or dresser or something, and he fell in love with the picture before he ever met Hazel. And she came home. All of this history, all of this, the first meetings I attended, the first classes, the Ministry of Prayer was in a kind of a ramshackle building behind the Institute. And then the Institute went away, and this building came up. And then after a few years, we were out of there, and we were in Burbank, and then we're in Golden. And so when I heard, it felt like a loss. It felt, we couldn't hold our own. I love unity, nothing against unity, but we couldn't hold our own. And I realized how wrong I am when I come here, not only because this place is beautiful and elegant, and they're going to take good care of it, and it's going to live here in perpetuity, just as this Unity Farm has. Not only that, but because all our ancestors are now side by side. He's next to Nona Brooks. Nona Brooks, he was a great friend of Nona. He's next to Agnes Gaylor, who ordained him. Ernest Holmes, before he was a religious scientist, he was a divine science minister. That whole racket is here. Everything, all of this is tied together in some way. All these people knew each other and did business together. And they all had a common vision. They were all about helping. They were all about serving. They were all about doing something great in the world together. Somebody else who lives here is Marcia Lehman. Marcia Lehman was my assistant minister for years. We were friends for over 30 years. She passed away in 2021. She would be here tonight at a table, scarfing down barbecue with all the rest of us. Where's she on the planet? She was phenomenal. So who was your teacher? Gene Amos was the person who brought religious science to Texas. Jeanette Kurtz was the person who brought religious science to Houston. They're here. Jean Amos became a minister, but for most of her career, she was a practitioner. And she was one of those people who just lit fires everywhere she went. There's a guy named William Miller who's here. William Miller was minister in, I think, Cincinnati. And he went around, he had this plan, and he went around to all these small southern cities, like Chattanooga, for example, or Huntsville, Alabama. And he went to these places in the 70s and 80s. And he'd rent a meeting room in a small, cheap hotel. He'd print circulars, and he'd get a hold of the Science of Mind and Creative Thought mailing lists for that area, mailing labels, and he'd invite all of those people out. And he'd have a 2 or 3 day seminar. And the first day and a half was teaching principle, and the second day and a half or 2 days was leadership training. And when he left town, there was a church there. There was a church there, and some of those exist to this day. Some have joined with others, and some have evaporated, into other scenes. But this was what drove him. It was as simple as that. Get a bunch of people together, tell them they're all right, teach them to tell each other they're all right, give them a few principles for financial management and how to create a center, an organization, and leave them alone, and watch what happens, and magic will happen. I called this talk The Corridors of Time, which is an expression Holmes uses more than once, and he means it principally as the universal subconscious mind. If we could walk down the halls of time, corridors of time, we would see illustrated the beliefs of the species, all of the past, all of the contents of consciousness, collective consciousness represented for us. I love to look back. I love the history of all of this and where it came from. But every time I look back, I have to look further. because I like, well, the 19th century, you know, the drill, New Thought, Emma Hopkins came out, of Mary Baker Eddy, and so on, and all of this. And then, you know, you go far enough back, see what's over my head up there? That's from the Temple of Dendur. The Temple of Dendur stands in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The winged globe is the insignia of unity. It was one of their first insignias. They still use it, obviously, as it's there. And it symbolizes the home of the gods. The Temple of Dendur was from the 1st century BCE. It was dedicated to the goddess Isis, but all the deities, including Ma'at, the principal consciousness deity of Kemet, or ancient Egypt, all of the deities live there in that place. New Thought is ancient wisdom, and that ancient wisdom continues through each of us. I think that's enough stories for one night. So now I have an ask. Now I have an ask for you. No, I got one more story. I just saw this. But I'll be brief. Because I hadn't planned this one. Stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? It's like the synchronicities and all. So we go in the archives. As I say, I'd been to it in Golden. I go in the archives here. What's the first thing I see inside the door? What we believe, right? Framed and hanging on the wall, on actual sheepskin. I know who created that. That was Gary Lister. Gary Lister was head of Science Mind Publications back in the day. And this guy knew merchandise. So he went out and for about $50, which was a lot of money in 1980s, you know, for about $50 you could buy that parchment unframed. So I did for my center, which was just starting out. And I took it to a frame shop. And I dropped it off, and they said, well, it'll be a couple of weeks. And I came back in a couple of weeks, and the owner of the frame shop came out. The person working the counter was preparing to conclude the transaction, and the owner of the shop came out and kind of stepped in, looked me right in the eye and said, what is that? What is that? And I told him. And again, you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get. Get out of here. You're pagan material in my... He said, that's exactly what I believe. Who are you people? And all he had to do was look at this and read it himself. Nobody standing over his shoulder, nobody coaching him, nobody wanting anything out of him. You know? And he never showed up. He never showed up at my center. It was a Jewish guy, as it turned out. He had his own spiritual practice, but boy, did this help. And that's what Ernest Holmes intended. That's exactly it. When he first started speaking in L.A., it was like, I don't care what else you believe, this will help. Do you pray? Then if you pray, try believing in the words that you're saying. Not only that, but take it a step further. Try believing that the words that you are saying are manifesting as you say them. And take it a step beyond that. Try believing that the words that you're speaking have already manifested in the non-physical realm and are about to be around the next corner that you turn. And if you will do that, if you will believe and not doubt, if you will believe, something amazing will happen. And it has happened, hasn't it? It's what brought us all here tonight. So last week being Easter, I was thinking about Jesus. I can't help but think about Jesus at various, not just Easter. I'm not just an Easter Jesus person, but I'm not at all a Christian, at all. But I do believe in Jesus, and I believe in his teaching. And everybody enthuses over the 18 years that he was off the grid. But you know what gets me is the 40 days after the resurrection when he came back. And I would have been so out of here, and so would you, after the kind of treatment that he got. But he came back for 40 days, and he scared the daylights out of the disciples. And you know why? Because he wasn't done. He had stuff he wanted to say, and he wasn't done. So that's where I want to leave it with. These people aren't done. Building 100's not done. They're not all just sitting there gathering dust. They want you to read them. And that's the ask that I have for you. That's the big implore for you as you come here. You are tonight at a gala. That's from the ancient Greek for fundraiser. And I have a pocket full of raffle tickets to prove it. Not that I'm selling, but that I bought. And I know if I win, because I'm the keynoter, you're going to say the fix is in, just like I told John, the fix is in if you win, buddy. But my ask is not for money, although it's vital that we support the archives. It's vital that we support Science Mind magazine. Vital that we support Science Mind. Vital that we support CSL and our home communities and everything else. But my ask is this. There's one thing I'd rather do than teach, and that's learn. And that's learn. So I implore you, study what's in the archives, actually or virtually, physically or digitally. Study what's in there. You'll find people you never knew existed. You'll find people you did know saying things you'd never heard. And you've been through that book, just like the experience you've had with the textbook, right? Every time you pick up the textbook, it's like, no. I've been to page 412, and that wasn't there last time. But now it is. I studied Emma Hopkins students, who are the founders, as you know, of New Thought, and a lot of other people besides. I found a woman named Frances Lord. I lost my mind over Frances Lord, and now I'm tripping off on her, and those of you who've had classes with me have had it up to here with hearing about Frances Lord. But it's good stuff, because she's saying the same thing, but she's saying it in a way that I hadn't heard before. So it's lighting me up. So I implore you to study this material. That's how we keep the archives alive. It's not just funding it. It's not just making sure that the room is well kept and there's volunteers on hand and, all the rest of it. It's logistical and kind of allopathic that we're aware of, No, it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that, about carrying it to the person, the next person that you're going to meet in your life. Okay, last line for me on this. There used to be a column. I'll talk more about this tomorrow, but there used to be a column in Science My magazine called I Refuse the Verdict. And in there it had where you'd be sitting, a person commuting home from work was sitting on a train. And somebody came and sat next to them and said, I hate my boss. I have a miserable job and this awful commute, and life is just terrible for me. And our hero in the story would turn to that individual and say, have you ever thought about changing your attitude? You ever thought about changing your attitude? And the grumpy commuter, all of a sudden, is like, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. And everything blossoms and everything blooms for them. We never know when we're going to turn the next corner and find our teachers, but we also never know when we're going to turn the next corner and find somebody who doesn't fit in and really, really wants to, and wants an entry by way of you saying what you know, telling it to them in a very level, common sense, conversational kind of way, so that they can go cogitate on it and come to their own conclusions. And the next time we all get together, there'll be twice as many people here doing powerful work. I want to thank you so much for your kind attention. I want to thank the archives staff and everybody who went, put it all out there, left it all on the floor for this weekend. Thank you all so much. Good night.
Figured up. There we go. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful, beautiful. We're so grateful for your yes and for your passion for our history and how you bring it out and you inspire everyone you touch. Your students just keep going, and many of them are volunteers of ours, and we got a few new ones thanks to you this weekend. And we're just really grateful. Thank you. So quiet in here, guys. What's up with that? Dang. No. So I do want to go back to our sponsors. We have a gold sponsor, lots of love from Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen, another Board of Governors. we have some silver sponsors. Center for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley, celebrating their 40-year anniversary. Bless you, Reverend Stephen Rambo and friends. Vessels of Spirit Focus Ministry, Reverend Steve Kinsfather and his beloved, gorgeous wife, Terry. Thank you so much. Longtime support. And again, some not in the program, but very important. Center for Spiritual Living, Kansas City. Yes. Reverend Mike Irwin. We're so grateful and we're excited to become even better friends. They're having their Roots class come in a couple weeks. Visit our archive. Hot damn. It's working, guys. And Reverend Stephen Yarbrough, he was on our board of directors, and he contributed 4 registrations so someone could come. So bless you, Reverend Steve. We have bronze sponsors. Like I said, the sponsors are just so wonderful. They just came out of the woodwork. Reverend Liz Moranti. Yeehaw. She was on the board of the directors in the past and just been a continuous supporter. We're so grateful. Thank you so much. Reverend Dr. Melissa Higginbotham. She is one of the newest board members of the archives. She's not here tonight, but she is absolutely here tonight. So thank you. And me, I guess, me and JT Thurman, we decided to sponsor and contribute to the event too. That was awkward. Okay. and so also Ascent Accounting and Taxes, Inc. All right, Carrie Sandmeyer. She's been an amazing volunteer tonight and so helpful. A dear friend, mountain friend from Bailey, or Pine, and she came all the way here to come celebrate with us. So thanks, everyone. So we're going to, in like 15 minutes, I guess, we'll wrap up the silent auction. So we'll set a clock on that. It's 8:23. Oh, 8:24. Oh, dear. It happens. So what, like 8:40. How about that? That'd be good. Raffle. So maybe at that time we'll have Dr. Marilyn Leo draw some raffle tickets. So you have 15 more minutes to buy some raffle tickets. And just a big thank you again to Karen Drucker, Sonny Cantrell-Smith, Dr. Sonny, Jim Van Cleve, Dr. Marilyn Leo, Dr. Jesse Jennigs. Yeehaw! Awesome. And you, each one of you here. We're so grateful for your heart. Thank you so much for joining us. I bet there's some dessert still back there, too. And so tomorrow, we're coming back here. So we're going to start our workshops at 9 o'clock. So I just invite you to come a little early, eat breakfast at your hotel, enjoy a lovely morning, come back here. And we're going to kick it off. It'll be beautiful. We're so excited that Dr. Tracy Brown is going to be our MC for the workshop. Thank you so much. And just be prepared. Just open your heart for wisdom to learn. Dr. Jesse's going to speak about the magazine. Dr. Mark Gilbert's going to talk about Ernest Holmes' TV shows. We're going to learn about it. And he's going to talk about what the archives is doing. And I get to talk about our future and what we've been up to. And again, it's all building and leading up to a town hall and a visioning.